Alright guys, we're gonna jump right into it, and I'm 1000% sure everyone is aware of the crazy losing streak that the Detroit Pistons finally snapped in their last game against the Toronto Raptors. This season, the Detroit Pistons broke the record for the longest losing streak in a single NBA season at 27 games, and they also tied the record for the longest active losing streak in NBA history at 28 games. The team they tied it with is the Philadelphia 76ers, and the only difference is the 76ers losing streak took place over 2 seasons. As for the Detroit Pistons, this has all happened in one single season, and this losing streak has led to the Detroit Pistons getting plastered over every form of media that you can think of, sports media, social media. It's gotten so bad that it was a point where if you opened the sports book, there was an option to bet on the Detroit Pistons when will they win their next game, and also at the very bottom of those options, you could have bet on the Detroit Pistons to not win a game for the rest of the season. That is so disrespectful, and what's even more disrespectful is that there were some goofies actually taking their money and placing that bet for the Detroit Pistons not to win another game this season. So, but I guess, any publicity is good publicity, because this is the first time in a long time I've seen the Detroit Pistons on Sports Center, and I've seen them on ESPN, albeit they're getting made fun of, they're getting ridiculed, and they're getting laughed at. But on a more serious note, guys, I came across something that was far more disrespectful than people placing their money on the Detroit Pistons not winning another game for the rest of the season. I came across this list that was made by Bleacher Report, and they were re-ranking the 2021 NBA draft class, the draft class that Cade Cunningham was a part of. And I don't know if this list was just for clicks or if it was just a boring day at the office, but I think this list is just downright ignorant. But on this list of re-ranking this draft class where Cade Cunningham was the #1 overall pick, they took him from that first spot and put him all the way at number 5. And I don't know if they're basing this list off winning, because if they're basing this list off winning, okay, you could pick Cade Cunningham at number 5. But if they're basing this list off impact, if they're basing it off the eye test, if they're basing it off the skill set, if they're basing it off the stats, then Bleacher Report is wrong as hell. Now, the 4 players that they put ahead of Cade Cunningham, at number 4, they had Alperen Sengun from the Houston Rockets. At number 3, they put Franz Wagner from the Orlando Magic above Cade Cunningham. At the number 2 spot, they put Evan Mobley from the Cleveland Cavaliers, and number 1, they put Scotty Barnes from the Toronto Raptors. You guys know I'm not just a YouTube channel that talks about the Detroit Pistons, although they are my favorite team, but I promise you there is no bias here. I talk about Alperen Sengun on this channel all the time. I talk about Franz Wagner on this channel all the time, and I just don't understand how you could put these 4 players above Cade Cunningham, especially when you look at the situations that these 5 players were drafted to. We look at Scotty Barnes. When he got drafted into the NBA in 2021, he got drafted and he was playing alongside players that just won a championship 2 years ago. The Toronto Raptors, they had all of their core from the 2019 championship except for Kawhi Leonard. They had all-star caliber players in Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam. They also had OG Anunoby. Those are 3 high-quality NBA players that Scotty Barnes was fortunate enough to have his rookie year, and up until right now, he doesn't have OG Anunoby, who just got traded away, and Fred VanVleet left this last offseason in free agency. But still, getting drafted to that type of core, that's a blessing for a rookie. And I know it's not the ideal guys you want to have around Scotty Barnes as far as perimeter shooting, but those are 3 guys who could create their own shot and also defend at a very high level. Cade Cunningham has not had that in his NBA career yet. We also look at a guy like Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley, his first year in the NBA, playing alongside Jared Allen and Darius Garland, 2 other all-star caliber players. And then his second year in the NBA, guess who comes to his team? Donovan Mitchell, a superstar. And we're being honest, we look at Evan Mobley from right now to his rookie year, he hasn't made no drastic improvements, in my opinion, to say that you would start your franchise with him over Cade Cunningham. He defends at a very high level, but he hasn't really made no more strides offensively. And then we look at it's the same with the other two guys, Franz Wagner and Alperen Sengun. Their franchises have just done a better job, and they just got more lucky of getting the right pieces around these guys that they drafted. Like the Orlando Magic have Paolo Banchero, they have Wendell Carter Jr., they have Jalen Suggs. All these guys playing at a really high level makes it a lot easier for Franz Wagner. And I'm a huge fan of Franz Wagner. I really love watching him play. And then Alperen Sengun, we saw the Houston Rockets go all out in free agency this season, bringing in high quality role players like Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet, and Jeff Green. That makes a difference. And with the Detroit Pistons and Cade Cunningham, his first 2 years in the NBA was riddled by injuries. He wasn't out there on the court, but when he was out there on the court, the flashes that he's shown and the numbers that he put up shows that he's a lot different, and he has a lot more upside than the other four guys that were listed above him in this quote unquote redraft. And we look at Cade Cunningham, who's finally been healthy. He hasn't missed a game so far this season for the Detroit Pistons. Individually, he's having the best stat line out of these other four guys so far this season. Cade Cunningham is averaging 24 points per game, 7 assists, 4 rebounds to go along with he's shooting 45% from the field, 34% from the 3-point line, and I think that is terrific given the situation that he's in. And I think they're holding this losing streak way too high over Cade Cunningham's head, and also I've been seeing him just get too much criticism. And I haven't seen this from the mainstream media, but this is just like seeing people in sports groups on Twitter calling him a turnover machine. He's averaging 4 turnovers per game. I don't think that's crazy when you have the ball in your hands as much as Cade Cunningham does. Have they seen James Harden, Russell Westbrook, LeBron James? Like, all of these guys are high turnover guys because they have the ball in their hands a lot. And you look at Cade Cunningham, who is religiously every night facing all five defenders in every game that the Detroit Pistons play in. All 5 of those guys are locked in on Cade Cunningham. And before coming into that game against the Toronto Raptors, Cade Cunningham, over his last 5 games, he was averaging 33 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, shooting 57% from the field. I don't think nobody else out of those 4 guys, Alperen Sengun, Franz Wagner, Scotty Barnes, and Evan Mobley, none of them guys have ever had a 5-game span like that. So I think this losing streak that the Detroit Pistons have gone on has been blown way out of proportion. And you listen to his peers and you listen to coaches talk about Cade Cunningham. Some guys, Steve Kerr, Stephen Curry, they have nothing but high remarks about him, and they talk about how differently you got a game plan just for him when you're facing the Detroit Pistons. So I think Bleacher Report, that list that they made, was very, very ignorant. I think Cade Cunningham, if he was to get if the draft was to happen again, and if it was to happen 10 more times, Cade Cunningham would be the #1 overall pick each and every time. And I think common sense tells you that. But you guys let me know down in the comment section if I'm wrong and Bleacher Report is correct. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment down below if you agree or disagree, and then subscribe for more weekly content. And that's curtains, man.